अहो जनसमूहेऽपि न द्वैतं पश्यथ मम araṇ्यम् इव saṃvṛttaṃ क्व रतिं karavāṇyaham.
Oh, marvelous! I do not find any duality even in the midst of human crowds. I feel I am in a forest. Towards what then should I feel attached? For the seer who has awakened, everything is the self. He does not see any distinction between himself and the rest of the world. For him, all is either the self or its projection. Therefore, in the midst of people, he remains immersed in that unity and accepts duality as a mere appearance. Ashtavakra expressed that vision of non-duality to Janaka in the first part of this verse and explains the basis of it in the next part of the verse. The seers experience non-duality and remain free from attachments. It is not so with common people. When they engage with the world, they see people as others, that is the common man, and experience desire, likes, dislikes, and prejudices, etc. about them. Due to ignorance, worldly people become preoccupied with the diversity of the world and remain outwardly drawn to things and people. Awakened yogis perceive unity in the diversity and remain absorbed within themselves. The awakening arises only when one looks beyond the duality of things and becomes firmly established in the non-duality of the self. In that person, the world ceases to create impressions. He may still face the world of plurality, but such world ceases to cause desires and attachments within him. Just as the waves do not affect the deeper ocean, deep within his mind, he remains calm despite the commotion in the world. Why does not the seer experience duality when he is amidst the masses? The answer is provided in the second part of the verse. It is because he is free from attachments. There is a direct correlation between duality and attachment. Both are interconnected and reinforce each other. Duality exists if there are attachments and vice versa. A person experiences attachments because of duality. And on the other hand, it is also true that duality persists as long as he or she has attachments. Both seem to be depending upon each other. However, both become dissolved when the experience of non-duality or oneness with the infinite self arises. In the absence of otherness, everything becomes the same self, and there will be no cause or reason for any relationship or attachment. In that state of unified awareness, all attachments cease and the self only remains. In simple and direct expression, it is like this. As long as I, before realizing self, was attached to this world, I had likes and dislikes for people around me. I perceived perfect duality between me and humanity. I liked someone and I did not like someone. And I was even hating some others. I thus saw people around me with different coloring of my ego. That is attachment and aversion, raga dvesha. The sequence in my pre-realization era is like this. My ignorance of my real nature resulted in my ego, which made me identify with my body, and since I identified myself with my BMI, I also identified all others with their BMI. I got attached to some. I had aversion for others, and I lived a life of duality for a long time. As time came, with the grace and blessings of my God and my Guru, I realized self. The entire sequence process is reversed with the irreversible change in my state of existence, which is self. Contrary to the above sequence, which was explained just now in the case of a jiva, just think, start with the sequence, exist as self, no BMI identity, and then if you wish to and if you have time, validate this existing as self, no BMI identity, and then see the above sequence of a jiva prior to realization in this light. To observe the difference between the sequence between a jiva and a seer. Living amidst janasamūhe'pi in this society, dealing with many things, I still remain alone in the aloneness of self. and I do not perceive any duality between me and self, and I do not either perceive any difference between me, the self, and all others also as the self. So there is no chance of any attachment to catch me and spread in me like a forest. The entire forest of this creation is in me, and I am ever settled for rest, resting in bliss forever. Few lines from Swamiji's commentary. Even in the midst of the crowds of other human beings, viewed from the seat of pure consciousness, he recognized but the one self that revels everywhere. The majestic aloneness felt by a wanderer in a forest is the example Janaka is forced to employ here. Even in a crowd at a busy marketplace, he feels undisturbed as though he is in a deep forest, all alone. Since he is thus experiencing only the vision of the self everywhere, how can attachments in the worldly things ever spring forth in the bosom of such a man of realization? How can he become a sport with sense objects? He come to sport with the sense objects. He is ever identified with the divine self, and all his movements and relationships are his spontaneous play. Janaka, living his own real nature, living his own real nature, exclaims here, "Oh, marvelous! I find no duality anywhere." Hari Om Tat Sat.